Welcome to Davidtree's Love Who You Are podcast. If you're new to Davidtree, we certify meditation teachers and offer online courses in yoga for anxiety and teaching yoga to children. Davidtree's been a leader in the wellness industry for almost 30 years. I'm your host, Candice Lapointe. Join me as I connect with insightful guests who share the surprising places their meditation, yoga, and wellness journey have taken them. Navigating the human experience can feel perilous at times, but our guests share how embracing their radical uniqueness and applying self-compassion can change everything. Welcome to another episode of the Love Who You Are podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that might just change the way you view one of nature's most forgotten treasures, fruit. Could eating fruit actually help us navigate these turbulent times we're living in today? Could avoiding fruit be holding us back from deep healing and lasting well-being? That's what we'll be exploring today with two incredibly inspiring guests, wellness educators, therapists, and Davidtree co-founders Carolyn Burke and Tamika Schilbe. In this episode, we'll be talking about the profound healing power of fruit, inspired by the revolutionary work of Anthony William, the medical medium. Carolyn and Tamika share the impact Anthony's work has had on their health over the past 8 years, offering relief and easing conditions they've had for decades. We talk about the science behind the method and how no one has the right to tell another person what to eat. If you get triggered when people lecture you about what to eat, fear not, because this is not that podcast. Fruit is only one aspect of Anthony Williams' extensive and growing body of work, but Tamika and Carolyn thought it would be a fun place to start today. Everyone knows about eating leafy greens, which is actually a concept that originated from William decades ago. But today we hone in on the healing and spiritual properties of specific fruits. You'll learn how apples, bananas, kiwis, melons, mangoes, lemons, dates, and wild blueberries can ease your mind, body, and spirit in different ways. You'll hear how these foods can support not just physical health, but also help ease conditions like anxiety, stress, depression, OCD, and PTSD. Plus, we'll dive into one of the most misleading trends in health today, fruit fear, which leads people away from their full potential to heal. We discuss how blaming fruit for people's health issues is a curious thing, since most people don't actually eat that much fruit. If you've ever been curious about how food can shift your life and support your body's natural ability to heal, this episode is for you. Carolyn and Tamika are here to debunk myths, share their experiences, and help us celebrate the sweetness of life. So get ready for an enlightening conversation that's sure to shift the way you think about fruit and inspire you to make nourishing choices for your health and well-being. Let's jump right in. Hi, you two. Thanks so much for coming on today. It always feels like just pure magic when we're all together, and I know it's hard to get all of our schedules to align, and here we are.
So exciting to be here, Candice.
So exciting to be with both of you. Candice, thanks for having us.
And we've got some pretty exciting topics to cover today. I know that this is stuff that you guys are very passionate about. It's been explored and lived. And so I'm just so excited to dive right into it. Today we are talking about fruits, the power and the potential that fruit can have on our well-being and our lives. And so I don't know where to start. This is just such a big topic. Who wants to jump in?
Okay, I was going to say healing. Like this is the thing that's so amazing is we don't realize just how healing fruit can be.
Absolutely. And most people don't eat a lot of fruit. And the fruit's gotten a bad rap ever since 2012. It started to kind of move into this direction in both natural health and allopathic medicine, where people were being discouraged from eating fruits that are literally the most important life-saving healing food that we have available to us. Most people actually aren't eating a lot of fruit. You know, if you go to a pizza party, you don't see someone, you might see someone saying, I don't eat gluten or I don't want cheese on my pizza, but you don't want to see somebody go, okay, you guys all have pizza. I brought a fruit platter for myself to eat. Like, you don't see that, right? So it's just amplifying the energy of these gifts from the earth is what I hope we can do today. Yeah.
And just taking it a step back, because I know that we really should credit Anthony Williams and the medical medium about this, and how you guys have really been captivated by his wisdom and offerings and how he's been able to share all of this knowledge about fruits. Well, can you guys maybe tell me a little bit more about how you got interested in Anthony Williams, medical medium, and how he's had an impact on your lives?
I actually was looking for some support around health issues that I had had for a long time. And I had gone in all kinds of different directions. I tried the allopathic direction. I tried taking medications. I tried traveling the world and going to healers in all different corners and pockets of the world. And nothing was changing my health situation. Actually, at the time that I found Anthony, I was also having random anaphylaxis, which anaphylactic shock is life and death. It means your whole body is swelling up. Your body's trying to protect you by, creating this huge swelling reaction. And people die of anaphylaxis. And I had many of those near-death experiences in a couple of year period. And so I was really under a lot of stress with that. And I had to, cancel retreats that I was teaching on. There was all kinds of things going on. It was a really hard time. And I found Anthony's book in a store on Salt Spring Island, and I brought it home, and it sat on my shelf for a few months before I picked it up. One night I was praying and I looked over at that book and I thought, well, I can't go to sleep. I'm stressed about this. And I picked up the book and I started reading it. And my entire medical situation, everything I'd experienced leading up to that, was outlined in the book. And I stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning, which is not like me, reading the book. And it put everything into perspective. And I think for people that are brand new to like having a health challenge, it's different for them because they might be like, there's like a whole mountain of things to try. But if you've been struggling with something for 25 years, you've already opened all those doors and tried all those things. And then Anthony not only gave solutions to the problem, but he said what the problem was. And I started doing the work. I did it very slowly. I didn't do all of it at first, but I did it very slowly, took on things. And then, I don't know, between the two of us, I think a few years ago, we figured out we healed like 18 things or something, 18 different things. I still have health challenges, but I know 100%, I know that if I hadn't found Anthony, I either wouldn't be here right now, or I would be so much further back in my healing, so much further back. Maybe I'd be bedridden. I don't know. I didn't mean to go into that right away, Candace, but that's where I am at. And I think it's easy for people to say, like, he's a medical medium. So people make fun of where he gets his information, which is from Spirit of Compassion. And it's easy for you to say that if you haven't been bedridden or had a severe health issue. And, there are people that are very young and are like, look at what I'm doing. I'm an influencer and I'm going to sell you this product. But are they really struggling that much with their health? Some of them are, some of them for sure are. But a lot of them haven't been through hell and back around their health and found something that works. So, Anthony's work isn't for everyone, but what I will say is that until you've walked a mile in the shoes of the hundreds of thousands of people that have been healed by him, you better think twice about judging that work. I'm saying that not to you, Candace, because I know you've had some healing experiences with it too, but I'm very passionate about Anthony and his work, and that's why I'm here. It's why I'm here. Why I'm alive.
Thank you, though, Tamika, because it is revolutionary. It is like nothing else. It's an organic movement where it's led by the people. And if you go online and read some of the stories and hear some of the testimonials and see some of the changes, it's remarkable what people have been able to shift in their lives. And for me, it's also about how it made me feel. Like all of a sudden having certain, like Tamika said, certain conditions just drop away, having more energy, feeling lighter, feeling like I could do more, but also from a place of like integration. As Tamika said, it was a slow start. So maybe starting with one thing and then the other. The fruit, I've always loved eating fruit. This has always been a love of mine, is fruit. But to learn about the power and the healing available, this is the most healing thing on the earth, is fruit. As Tamika said, it's like a gift from the earth. It just really opened my eyes to something that was available and so much easier in a way to access because it's just right there. It's not having to get on a plane and go see an expert. It's like, I'm going to go to the grocery store and pick up those organic grapes. It's a beautiful thing to have the knowledge, I think, which is why we want to share it.
And I think that it's both of yous just exude such passion for it and excitement around it. And I think that is important of sharing your story and how this has all been so profound for you. It's undeniable. And I think that other people would really benefit from hearing these stories. These are the kinds of things that, like, you know, help us get through. It just seems very cliche, but if one person hears it and then, you know, is inspired to try and different medical medium protocols, then it really does feel like what we're doing here is all worth it, right? Mm-hmm. So let's get into the fruits. And I wanted to this is something that's kind of like on my brains about whether or not all fruits are seen the same in the medical medium world, and what you guys do to maybe enhance or capture some of the benefits of particular fruits, and when you know when to use fruits and what fruits and all of that jazz. So I don't know if somebody wants to take the lead on sharing their fave fruits. Or
I mean, I can say, first of all, what fruits is so interesting because all fruits are really great for you because of the hydration that they give us. It's like, if you think about eating an apple, you're instantly feeding your cells with the water that it needs. Like a banana is made up of 72% water. Like, that's so interesting. So just the hydration alone. Are all fruits created equal? All fruits are beneficial, but there are some that you can hone in on that are going to help you with certain things. And given what's going on in our world right now, there's a lot of anxiety, depression, PTSD, and there are actually things that you can do just from opening your fridge and taking it out and eating it that could actually benefit and help to calm yourself down with the fruit. And I don't know if that answers the question that you had, Candace.
Mm-hmm. It really does.
That's part of it, at least.
I think all of them have unique personalities, just like all humans have different personalities. And that's one of the things I love about his book, Life-Changing Foods. I'll just grab it here for anybody that's watching the video portion. This Life-Changing Foods, the subtitle is Save Yourself and the Ones You Love with the Hidden Healing Powers of Fruits and Vegetables. It really goes into why that particular fruit is here for us, what qualities it gives us healing around the physical stuff, but also emotional support and spiritual support. So when we say these are gifts from the earth, gifts from God, gifts from spirit, they actually are here to assist us through this time, these turbulent times we're in. They really need to be recognized for the gifts that they're here to give us, because they're very, very special. And so, yes, they're all wonderful, and some of them have more heightened healing properties than others. For example, wild blueberries are exponentially better for you than cultivated blueberries. Cultivated blueberries are still good. Still eat those because they'll give you lots of good benefits. But if you can get your hands on wild blueberries, those, if you think about the quality of a wild blueberry, it can thrive after a fire. It can be destroyed in a forest fire and thrive. It can thrive after everything is frozen to the ground and then thrive again. And so it's this magical kind of plant that really delivers resilience to us in many, many different ways. And there's so many different healing properties with it, besides the obvious, like antioxidants, vitamins, protein, nutrients, all the things, the living water, as Carolyn said, in all the fruits, but also that it gives us this resilience to handle the hard times. And so wild blueberries are super special, but all the fruits are really special in their own ways.
I mean, I think they help to kill off pathogens in our bodies. They help to slow down aging. Like Tamika said, you're getting vitamin C, right? And on a cellular level, they're supporting you. So like, that's like an overall, but my God, the wild blueberries, can't imagine not having those.
And so why do you think, maybe this is getting too political, but why do you think that there's been such a derailment from people turning to these foods as a source of healing? Like, I'm just thinking that in today's culture, there's just so many more avenues people seek first before turning to fruits and vegetables as a healing source. And why have we forgotten these ways?
One of the things I remember, like speaking from personal experiences, I remember, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago hearing that fruit is going to make you fat. And so it was all about weight loss, that if you eat fruit, it's sugar. Again, that thing, like people think all sugar is created equal, which it is not. It's not like eating high fructose corn syrup or eating candies. It's a very different type of sugar. But I remember hearing that, and Carolyn will say often that she loves fruit and has always ate fruit, but I haven't. And I have always struggled with my weight. And my weight did not go up or down when I was eating fruit or not eating fruit. When I was not and trying to avoid fruit, my weight didn't change at all. I really think that there's, for some reason, it's gotten out there that fruit is a bad thing and it's been adopted. It all started around 2012 when people started to shift away from fruit and say that it was bad. I remember being at Kripalu, a retreat at Kripalu Health Center, and going through the lineup in front of somebody that was like freaking out about all the fruit in the trays that were available for us for breakfast. I had fruit on my plate, and I remember her saying, like, "It's sugar, it's so bad for you." And I was thinking, what? Like, really? And I actually took that in. I don't know why, but I took that in. I got the message from so many different places that if you want to lose weight, don't eat any fruit. And it's just not true. In fact, I know now that really impacted my health negatively to have that message. So it's a great question, Candace. And there's lots of complex reasons why this messaging has been spread.
That's so interesting, Tamika. And I think that a lot of people could relate to that too. Just following fads and restricting themselves based on what the current new thing is. I'm with Carolyn in the fact that I don't think I've restricted myself in the way of fruits. I love fruits and I've always loved fruits. Can you guys maybe go into greater detail as to some of the ways that fruits have had a direct impact or can have a direct impact on the body?
Well, in terms of the brain, our brain is made up of glycogen, and it needs to be fed glucose to be able to function. So that is what we get from fruit, is the glucose that goes right in there and feeds our brains. So when I learned that, I was like, wait a second, that's what our brain's made up of? Like, thank you, Anthony. This is keeping us alive. So sometimes people will be restricting food and you'll say to them, well, can you just eat an orange and see how you feel? Like, literally, you need to feed your brain, especially if you're suffering from any kind of mental health issues, because remember how I was talking about hydration? Well, we want to be able to have our blood not be thick. And our hydration means that if we can hydrate through the fruit, through the living water of fruit, we can thin out our blood. And this is really important if you're suffering from anxiety, is to have enough hydration all the time.
Totally. Yeah. And I'm thinking even just to the symptoms of anxiety itself and just all of the, perspiration and things that go along with that, and the replenishing that would even need to happen even in the experience of the anxiety, right? Not even just in terms of prevention, but in the actual experiencing of, and how beneficial these fruits would be when having bouts of anxiety.
I was going to say, like, it heats up your brain. Like, if you think about the electrical impulses in your brain gets heated up, right? It kind of goes on fire. And so when you add glucose in, you start eating fruit, you cool down the brain, like you cool down the body in a sense, right? When you were saying the sweating, like, I almost think of it as like, yeah, too much electrical activity up here.
When you're stressed and anxious and adrenalized and you got adrenaline pumping through your body, and it is an antidote for that in the moment. And if you're afraid to eat too much fruit because that's something that's just really there for you, you can just have a section of an orange. You don't have to eat the whole thing. Like, some people really do need to restrict their food in different ways to feel good about themselves. And if I can add that just as a slight sidebar, that no one has the right to tell you what to eat. No one, nobody. Maybe your parents do when you're a little kid, but once you're an adult, nobody can tell you what to eat and what not to eat. And so I'm not interested in that, and I'm not interested in other people doing that to me either, because self-determination and self-agency is what we're all about at David Tree. So I kind of want to preface this, and I wish I'd said it earlier, that we're not here to tell people to eat fruit if they don't want to eat fruit, or to push fruit on somebody if maybe they read something else that has more meaning for them. You go with that. You go with what your gut is. And I really just want to underline that, because people have so many things around food and eating, and not just the eating disorders that we kind of think of, like anorexia or bulimia. People don't just have those issues with food. They have a multitude on a continuum of other issues with food, obsessions and compulsions around it, and thoughts and maybe dialogue in their head. Some people think about food from the moment they wake up till the moment they go to bed. So I think we have to be really generous and really kind to everyone that is listening to this, and it might like hit them somewhere and go, ooh, this doesn't feel comfortable, because I just want to honor that.
Yes, I so agree with you, Tamika. I'm just super excited and interested about all of these like almost like scientific facts. Like from what I'm gathering, and I don't know if this is a common piece that's, you know, a part of the Anthony Williams medical medium community, is just the fact that it's grounded in woo-woo, or, you know, the spirit of compassion, or how is it grounded in science? And just from Carolyn describing the impacts of fruit, even just on the brain, really solidified for me just how it really is backed in science. And there's direct, you know, cause and effect that we can explore when talking about these fruits and ingesting these fruits and vegetables, right? So it's so interesting. And I think that can help it to resonate with some people, perhaps folks that are on the side of not necessarily wanting to hear this information or might dismiss it or what have you, right?
That's a really good point, Candace. I got excited because you said science. And what I really want to say about that is that there are hundreds of thousands of people in an organic movement. It's not backed by medical funding, interest groups, lobbyist groups. It's people all over the world. These books have been translated into all kinds of different languages. And if you go on his social media, there are hundreds of stories every week about different people and their incredible success, and they are not being paid. They are not being given clout for making those comments and saying those things. And to me, science means you have a hypothesis and then you have to test it. So what is science? Like at its basic level, what is science? Science is a hypothesis and then we test it. The people have tested this. It has never been debunked. The things that he's using have never been scientifically debunked. But whether it's in peer-reviewed studies or not, whether it's done by the people or done by, you know, a different organization, it's still science. And it's been repeated and tested over and over again and proven right over and over again. So I don't know. That seems pretty scientific to me.
Totally. Yeah. So you were showcasing his life-changing book, and you mentioned that he outlines the different fruits and talks about, you know, their spiritual significance. And I was just thinking about how when eating fruits, to know that spiritual significance and how it could have an impact. Okay, there's something to be said about eating an orange, but then to know what the spiritual significance is and why you're eating that orange, how that can really have an impact when you're looking to perhaps you know, manage symptoms or health concerns. And so can you guys tell me in your own personal lives, which food, like I guess maybe it's a personal question about what you're dealing with and which fruits you specifically turn to and when?
I love apples. Apples are like a part of my day every day. Yay, apples. So that's one that I can't imagine not having. There's so many healing benefits of apples. The outer skin on most fruits have elevated biotics in them. And I know that an apple is incredibly healing for the liver. So I can't remember exactly what the spiritual perspective is, but I think when an apple can go through frost, like kind of like what Tamika was saying about wild blueberries. And what I recall is that it can withstand a whole bunch of like drops in temperatures and still be very like fruitful. And we can bring an apple in when we're feeling a little bit of a cold front in our lives. So like perhaps there's somebody that's been a little bit chilly with us and it doesn't feel so good. We could offer them an apple or we could eat an apple And that's one of the, I believe, the spiritual significance, or that Anthony, or Spirit of Compassion, points out around apples.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so when I'm sure that you have a lot more to add to that too, Tamika, but I'm just thinking in my own little knowledge about what we're looking for with an apple. I remember you guys telling me that we should be looking for the reddest apples, the apples with the reddest skins on them. And so in the supermarket, here I am now, just always like, oh, okay, like looking at all the fruits, observing just to like have a connection with it, but also to see which ones have the reddest skin.
It's much better. I mean, it's not saying that like green apples aren't good for you, but if you get the red apples, it's going to be better for sure. And apples are like a ray of hope because of that cycle that they have, the cycle of the apple. So look, if you're feeling really down, or you're feeling like you're alienated or alone, like an apple can make you feel hopeful again. Anyways, red skin for sure though. Do you want to add anything to that, Tamika?
No, I think that's beautiful. So
The only other thing I'd say about an apple, they're right, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, is actually very true. That, you can have so many healing benefits from just eating an apple, and it's really helpful. So for your adrenal glands to just have a consistent flow of fruit, but apples are really great for them.
yeah, when you say about the liver, apples are really powerful for the liver. If you think about the liver has over 2,000 metabolic functions, it's impacting every single health issue you've ever had. So your liver is fighting for you. It's like your mother inside. So you're feeding the mother, you're feeding that mother inside of you when you eat an apple. And it isn't, like Anthony says, it's not an egg a day keeps the doctor away. It's not that. It's an apple. And can I say also, because this is so fascinating to me, and maybe it will be to some of the listeners too, is that there are over 300 references to fruit in the Bible. And that's not by accident. When we were traveling in Malta, we were looking at all these old crests of arms and all these old different symbolism all over the country of Malta. There was fruit everywhere in aristocratic symbolism. It was like a sign of wealth and health and abundance. And fruit is in our language. Like Carolyn, you just said the apple a day keeps the doctor away. We say, well, I don't know if I want to do that or if it would be fruitful. We say, oh, let's go for the low hanging fruit to make life a little easier. We say, what are the fruits of your labor? All of these things are an echo to an older time when we knew and we were connected to the earth in a different way, and knew, like, these are older sayings, right? We knew that fruit would keep us alive and that it was that important. Like, if you think about when I was in school, I remember learning about people crossing the ocean and dying because they didn't have fruit. I remember that when I was in school. And so, but we've lost that knowledge, and it's so, so powerful. So powerful.
It's interesting too, only for the pure fact that fruit is such an easy thing to consume. I'm thinking again, Carolyn, to you being like, there's just something about cutting up an apple that just makes it like just amazing to eat, to snack on, right? Like, but we can just simply consume an apple by biting into it and enjoying it in its whole like state. But how is it that we've lost, again, I know I'm getting back to this piece about losing our way on the simplicity of fruit and how we can turn back to this as a way to heal ourselves easily. It doesn't take much effort. Of course, it's the purchasing and the knowing of perhaps which fruits you feel would benefit you in particular, but just so interesting that we've lost our ways. And that's why I'm so grateful you guys are here to help explain more of this today too. You guys are amazing. And I know there's more fruits. I know you've got some more there that you want to share. Carolyn's all about the apples. And what's your fruit of choice, Tamika?
Well, I'm going to talk about mangoes because they are so, so special as well, and so, so healing. If you are feeling abandoned, forsaken, cut off, lonely, all of those deep, deep feelings that just make you feel like you don't know if you have the strength to go on, mangoes are an asset to you, and they will help you. And the more you eat, the better you will find those things improving. So they can help you with those feelings. And they're really good, as well as oranges, for seasonal affective disorder. So if you think about us here in Canada, where we live, is we have a lack of sunlight for a lot of the year. And people often, I'm sure you both know, I know people that say they really suffer from seasonal affective disorder or SAD. And when we import those fruits that are getting all that sunlight, and then we ingest this and we bring it into our cells, we are getting that sunlight. We're getting some of those beautiful qualities in our bodies in the winter. And this can really help people that struggle with that. And then, of course, there's a movement that says, well, you should only eat local. That would mean we'd just be eating root vegetables all winter. And if you're, inclined to do that, that's beautiful. And I'm sure you have good, ecological reasons for doing that. And I think that's beautiful too, eating in season. But if you're struggling with any health issues, that is really going to hold you back if you're not eating those tropical fruits during the winter time if you don't have sunlight. So mangoes are amazing. They're very, very uplifting, and they can be really helpful and open us up to joy. They're very joyful. Yeah.
So when we're talking about the fruits too, in particular, does Anthony have a stance on how, I know we talked about cutting them up or eating them whole. I'm thinking about mangoes, and I love myself some dried mango. I know we've been really enjoying mango sorbet in the blender and making it with some lime juice and maple syrup. And does he have a stance on whether or not somebody should, try to consume it at its peak ripeness or at its, not dried, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think to get the full benefits, it does need to be ripe, because even if you're eating a banana that's not ripe, it tastes brutal. You get that kind of weird taste on your tongue. So yeah, the ripe is important. So I don't think it's that dried fruit is bad in any way, shape, or form, but it's not going to have the same level of living water.
Okay, and I'm just now thinking too, these pieces about Tamika sharing in regards to the sunlight and these other factors that are found within maybe wouldn't be as abundant after they've gone through a drying process.
We in our house anyway, if we're going to turn to something that is not good for us or dried fruit, we pick dried fruit. We have tons of dried fruit in our house too. Even though we don't get the living water out of it, as a snack, it's super, super good, and it's healthy, and it's not bad for you, right? It's still a pure food.
And blending it is amazing too. If you think of a smoothie, or like you said, making a little sorbet, you're still getting all the benefits. There's a lot of really good recipes in that Healing Foods book using, for instance, cherries and a banana and water in a blender, or maybe with a date. And it's a delicious smoothie that's going to give you the benefits of the banana. It's going to give you the benefits of the cherry. It's going to give you the benefits of the dates, right?
Love that. Yeah. And so you've talked about apples and mangoes, and are there other fruits that you guys turn to on a daily basis for your own particular needs?
Carolyn, what about lemon water? I wonder.
Oh, I was going to say, what about oranges? I'm we have so many ideas, right? Okay, let's talk about lemon water. Lemons are super, super helpful in terms of getting electrolytes into you and hydrating you. And so having lemon water where you can add the living element of the lemon juice to the water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach is incredibly helpful for your liver. And also just in terms of look at me, I'm just really holding it lovingly. So the lemon juice wakes up the water, because when we actually put our water through different mechanisms, we remove a lot of the minerals from the water, and it actually makes the water more dead. So by adding the lemon juice, you're actually adding life back into the water. So, and then of course, you're still getting hydrated and you're getting the electrolytes that you need. And it's very cleansing, very, very cleansing if you do it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. Cheers.
Cheers, Carolyn. Can I add to that too? I'll just add that overnight your liver is working on getting toxins out. So when you wake up and you do that lemon water, as Carolyn's saying, it flushes out those toxins that are sitting ready to be released. This is, again, if you love your liver, you love your mother inside, you're going to want to do that as much as you can. It's best if you put that lemon in there and drink it within half an hour, because that's when it's fresh. And about after a half an hour, that freshness goes away a little bit. So it's not bad if you do it an hour later, but the fresher, the better. So, and you don't want to buy lemon juice that has something added to it, in a can or container and have something that has something added, you're going to get those nutrients a lot better if it's fresh.
And then there's that thing about thick blood, and that's where you can think about thinning the blood too, is through the hydration of the water, and the lemon is then reducing anxiety, right? Reducing those symptoms.
And it gets strep out too. So when you're drinking that lemon water in the morning, sometimes you'll feel like maybe if you've had a cold recently, or maybe even if you just have a low level of strep in your body, that would be for someone that has like postnasal drip, they have ear, nose, and throat issues, they have acne, they have, what else? UTIs, things like that. You probably, according to this theory, have, and talk to your doctor because I'm not a doctor, but you probably have a level of strep in your body. And so it actually gets it out in the morning too when you do that lemon water, which is great. It's expectorant in a way.
Yeah. So can you guys say that you have had positive shifts, and you can for sure say that you can see the changes in your body after doing these practices, the lemon water in the morning on an empty stomach, or consuming different fruits throughout the day? You have those abilities now to see the minute changes in your body as you start to incorporate these things into your diet and your lifestyle?
Oh my God, totally. I mean, I don't even know where to start with that.
Are you or someone you love feeling overwhelmed by anxiety, worry, stress, and fear? Are you looking for proven holistic solutions to help you move past the suffering? We understand, and we want you to know you are not alone. David Tree's Yoga for Anxiety online course was created for these wild times we find ourselves in. It will give you the support and tools you need for managing everyday stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in a safe and supportive way. Led by experienced therapists and yoga educators, Carolyn Burke and Tamika Schilbe, this highly rated course includes stress relieving techniques, breath work, gentle yoga, mindfulness practices, meditations, and includes the revolutionary healing tools and foods for anxiety outlined by Anthony William, medical medium. Visit davidtree.com, DEVATREE.com, to learn more and start your healing journey toward well being today. Anxiety affects millions, but relief is possible.
So the fact that we've been doing this over 8 years to me is like, I've never done anything for 8 years. I don't know. Like, I mean, other than parenting, like what's been around for yeah, it's not true. We taught yoga for a really, really long time, over 23 years actually. But it just feels like that I mean that in terms of like a health practice, this has stuck around because there's just been too many things that have disappeared and too many things that have kind of increased. Like, feeling lighter could be feeling like your system is running clearer. You're getting rid of things. Now, of course, there's lots of other things we do with it, like cleanses, or I'm thinking about lymphatic release by just bouncing on the rebounder and walking, these kind of things too. But it's hard to like put a value on it to me, other than saying I've done this religiously for 8 years and I am not going to stop. And I know that it's increasing my lifespan and making me a better human. Like in terms of mood, I feel like it's lifted my mood. In terms of physical symptoms, I think there's been lots and lots of shifts. And it's also that knowledge of knowing like, I haven't been doing that for a while. I wonder if I should start doing that again, and then doing it and being like, that's way better. Yeah. Even for me, stuff like sleeping at night, like have a banana before bed. It's something that calms you down and helps you sleep. Cherries have the capacity to be, I think they even have melatonin in them. Like they really help to, if you're struggling in one particular area, I've seen so many shifts with just minor shifts like that.
And when I met Carolyn, can I tell that story about you?
Oh, wonder what story it is.
Do you know?
I do.
Okay. When I met Carolyn, she was like you were anemic, right? Yeah. You were anemic when I met you. And I struggled with anemia too. And I always thought it was because I was vegetarian since I was a child that I was anemic. But Carolyn was eating meat and was really struggling with anemia. So when I first met you, I remember us going to Cayo Costa, which is a little island in Florida. Not when I first met you, but early into our relationship. And I think we had this joke between us that she's going to kill someone unless she gets a hamburger, because we were on this remote island. There was no electricity and we couldn't store meat or, stuff that was perishable. So we were just eating grains and fruits and vegetables and that kind of stuff. So by the end of that 5 days, Carolyn was like, I need a hamburger. Red meat was her cure, right? And there's nothing wrong with red meat if you're a meat eater. For you, that was like such a physical, emotional, like all-encompassing experience of needing that. After, this was what shocked me, is you went from being a meat eater to vegan, which we're not saying, nobody on Anthony's protocols needs to be vegan. You don't need to be a vegetarian. He does not say that one of those is better than the other, just to be clear. But Carolyn went to vegan and she doesn't have anemia anymore. Like that thing that I had noticed with her in all those years at the beginning, like over a decade of noticing that, it doesn't exist anymore. And so even that basic thing, like you would go pale, you would like,
Oh God, yeah.
yeah.
Like black rings, and I mean, some I still have rings, but like black rings under my eyes. I mean, like fall over white.
That's just a basic one. But I also want to say that we still, or I'll speak for myself, I still have health issues because I still have exposures. We have a situation where we're exposed to copper that we can't get rid of right now. And copper is not a health food. Copper is a really bad metal to have exposure to. We have exposure to that. I have definitely some challenges, but knowing that I'm cleansing on a daily basis, at least I'm keeping the wolf away from the door. Like I'm keeping things in somewhat balance, and I won't always have that exposure, but right now I do. And all of us, like we have exposure to things like chemicals in different things that we're exposed to in everyday life. And so I just kind of want to say that because do not have perfect health. I have health issues still, but I've had health issues since I was 4 years old. It's been a long time for me of having health challenges, and nothing has made a difference like this. Nothing. Even, this is not fruit, but the celery juice, Carolyn and I often will wake up some days stressed, and we have a lot to do in our practice, in our work, all of life. And we'll be like, I have brain fog. And most people would be like, I need the coffee. And I've been there too. I used to be a serious coffee and tea drinker, like caffeinated tea drinker. We're like, where's the celery juice? After we get that celery juice into us, we can do pretty much anything. Like the whole day is like we're on, mentally. So that's a different thing than fruit. But when you ask about the benefits, Candace, I love what you said, Carolyn, is sometimes we'll go off it a little bit. Like there'll be times when we'll start like drifting away, and then it's like, shit, this is not good. My body's used to a different quality of life. And then you get back on.
Definitely.
So interesting. I think that what I'm hearing you say is that, we're human beings and we're constantly in this ebb and flow, and we're constantly coming into different environmental factors and other things that will shift our health. And it's just what a blessing it is to have the knowledge and the power of fruits to be able to then, when we're kind of off course, and then come back using all of the wisdom that we know about it from Anthony William. I have a feeling it's going to be an interesting crowd that listens to this podcast, and I'm just curious about what their thoughts are going to be about it. I feel like what you said at the beginning, Tamika, is that food is just, it can be such a sensitive topic for people. I'm wondering about people who maybe if they've made it this far into the podcast, they are not going to be thinking, I'm going to turn that off now. But I'm just... Why is it that folks have such a sensitivity to hearing these kinds of things, even if it's all the positive, amazing talk about how things have shifted for people? Like, is it the fact that they're just not ready to hear how significant these fruits are, or whatever it is for them personally? Can that shift for people? And do you think it's like hearing these kinds of things that help people shift that perspective? Or do you think there's always going to be those folks that are like, I'm never going to go down that path? I'm just wondering how.
I think it's really hard. I think that's a really good question, Candace. Like for me, food is emotional, like emotionally eat. When I'm stressed and I feel like things are all over the place, like I want to tamper that down and push down those emotions. Like I definitely recognize that pattern in myself. And it's also associated with the way I was brought up. Like comfort food means mom and means dad and means XYZ. Like there's so many things that are associated with, like, I want to treat myself. I love this question because I just think our emotions are so complex, and the way that we've related to food, we've all, since we're able to eat food, we're eating food, right? So the patterns have so long to develop. And Anthony also has some interesting things. I'm not going to recall all of it right now, but around the history that we have associations in our culture around, you didn't bring the king the meal didn't taste good and you're beheaded. Like there's a lot. I think it's so multi-layered. Carolyn, you probably have so much to say about this too.
I mean, it's fascinating what you're sharing because it's so true. It's almost like you can't take something away from somebody. When you think of food, they'll be like, no, that's mine. This is what I'm attached to. I get up every morning and I eat this, and then I eat that, and then I do this, and then I do that. And don't tell me to change it. And it's like, right, totally get it. Like Tamika described, how did I go from hamburgers to vegan? I did. It was that to that. And it was a remarkable shift for me. I felt really different. So I think it has to be experiential. Like you're not going to try something unless you want to. Free will is so important. And then if you do try it and you notice an effect, then that isn't that interesting. You know, it's like, did that feel good or not feel good? And if it did feel good, maybe you're going to want to do more of that. And I've worked with some clients who have struggled with anxiety, and I've just said like, well, have you tried eating some fruit? What kind of fruits do you eat? And they've shared like, well, I'm not eating that much fruit. And I was like, even if it's just frozen fruit that you have in the freezer and you pull that out and thaw a little bowl of berries, that could do something. And they were like, you know what? It made a big difference for me. So I think it's experiential. Like take it in if you want to take it in. If this doesn't fit, like Tamika said, you're not going to take it in. That's totally fine. But you want to allow people to have their own ways, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like that it's okay for us all to do it differently. We're not saying you have to do it this way. Just like, wow, wouldn't it be cool to open this book and read like an orange is going to help me when I'm depressed? It's like, I'm feeling kind of down right now. I'm going to go eat an orange.
I was just thinking about, that's beautiful, Carolyn. I was just thinking about another aspect of this question you're asking, Candace. And Dr. Fan, he's a medical doctor in Texas that practices the medical medium information and the regular allopathic. He does both, but give him credit for this. But he was talking about how in his culture around his area that people, they're just working so hard every single day. And we'll all resonate with this in ways, right? Like you're just working so hard. And there where he is in Texas, it's so hot outside. So there's not always, for parts of the year, there's not a lot you can do for fun outside because the heat is stifling. And people get to Friday night and they want to go to that favorite restaurant that's loading tons of grease into everything it's serving. It's not serving fruit plates. Like that's not what they're craving at the end of the week. People are working so hard and people are overworked and underpaid in a lot of situations, and they can't make ends meet. And so food is a reward. It's their end of the week. I get to do something fun. I get to give back to me. So like what Carolyn said, we're not taking that away from anybody. And yeah. And tastes take time to change too. Like there's so many people. I've interacted with the community, especially really strongly for the first 5 years I was on it. But people change their way they taste things. Like they aren't interested in drinking the heavy metal detox smoothie, for example, in the mornings at first. And then they're like, I love this now. Or I hate celery juice. I can only drink a shot glass of it now. And then now I'm drinking 16 ounces, because you can train yourself to change those tastes, but like Carolyn said, you have to want to, you have to have the energy, the time. There is an investment. I'll also say that too. Like we're not rich people at all, Carolyn and I. And we definitely go to we go to multiple stores to find deals. We look at the flyers. We don't always get organic. There's some things that Anthony recommends you get organic, like potatoes and tomatoes and maybe a few other things, but we do our best to get organic, but we don't always. And with what's going on in the world right now around tariffs and, we should enjoy the fruit. We should just enjoy the fruit because it's here, it's available, and just find a way to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So many good things, Tamika. I mean, I got so many thoughts as you're saying all this. I'm like, wow, wow, wow. But the changing tastes, I think a lot of people are like, I don't eat that. That's gross, right? And I used to feel like I really didn't like, let's say, cantaloupes, or I didn't eat a lot of pears. But once you start introducing these fruit, which become like a dessert, they're sweet, they're delicious, your taste changed. Like Tamika said, my taste totally changes. I could eat so many cantaloupe right now. I could eat pears. All of it is delicious to me now. And it wasn't always. So we also kind of get stuck in our minds, like a little bit of like, well, I don't do that. Those don't work for me. It's like, well, maybe they don't work for me because you've been eating bananas and they're not ripe. Maybe that's why it doesn't work for you, is you haven't been eating them at their optimum way. So just, I think it's like experiment, be open-minded and see what comes in. And if there is something you're healing, don't exclude fruits from your diet. You want to include them.
I remember you guys also saying this, and so let me know if this is right. But also, if somebody is having an actual physical reaction, not like hives or any sort of reaction like that, but if they're having like just like an aversion to something, that it could be just starting off slow and incorporating them into your diet, like, just a little bit at a time, and then seeing like how it could progress into adding in more amounts of that particular fruit and just seeing how that pairs with your body. No pun intended.
I love it. Exactly. You're right, Candace. And I think you're remembering that we talked about, if you're allergic to a natural food, it's actually because it's cleansing in such a deep way. It's probably, talk to your doctor. I'm not a doctor, but Anthony would say it's hinting at other deeper issues. And so, yeah, take a little bit, get yourself used to it, and then take a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Unless, of course, it's making you physically sick, then try some other fruit or food that you're not reacting to.
Yeah. Okay, give them to me, you guys. I want to hear more. We've talked about lemons, apples, mangoes. I think that Carolyn has talked about
Bananas a little.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I know that there are some more top charting fruits on the fruit charts for us. And so can you let us know what else you guys implement in your meals? What else is there for you?
Dates, I would say. I didn't really eat dates before I knew about this, but you can use dates to sweeten all sorts of things. Like instead of sugar, you can put a date in something, but these are really protective. And so if you feel like you're around people who are jealous of you, or they're kind of giving you a little shade, eating a date can have a really good impact on that. They're also really good for your digestion and help to ward off fatigue, which is really interesting. So I will bring cut up dates, and not cut up dates, but dates, cut up apple and celery to work. And it's really helpful as an adrenal snack. So that really helps to boost your energy if you feel like you get a dip in energy throughout the day. And you can learn more about adrenal snacks from Anthony William, but dates are a really great part of it because there's minerals in here that are really, really helpful.
Aren't they also shielding?
Yes.
They're protective. If you feel like, like they shield you from negativity. Like you said, the shade when you're getting shade.
They really they shield you.
I was thinking about how much my dog likes to eat dates. And I think, she's protecting herself. Like that's a common treat that she eats. It's just dates.
I was going to say it would be so helpful. I'm sure this probably exists. A little like roadmap of like, if you're feeling this, I know his book outlines that, but it's just like a condensed little form of things that you could, fluctuating emotions throughout the day, and just like, I need to go and grab a date. I need to go and grab an apple or whatnot. I would love to have something like that on my fridge. I think I need something that's like right there all the time. You know what I mean?
A cheat sheet.
A cheat sheet. And I know that there are just so many amazing recipes on Anthony Williams' website. And I'm trying to think about all the different ways that you incorporate. So you've talked about adrenal snacks, Carolyn, or the apple, celery, and the dates. What else have you guys used dates for? I mean, you sweeten things with them.
Yeah. Travel. Like, because sometimes you don't know when you're going to be able to eat and you're traveling. Like, let's say you're going on a flight or somewhere and you're a little worried about being able to find the right foods. Having just like a little handful of dates in a plastic bag with you, again, it gives you that protective energy, but just to have them around, like in your purse. I mean, as a mom, sometimes you're like, somebody always needs to eat, right? So like just pulling out a date, it's right there.
And they're higher calorie, so they get you that through those periods where you're not eating, like in between, as a way to keep your adrenaline down and keep your glucose to the brain, all of that good stuff.
So smart. Yeah. That
Can
makes
I
a lot of
talk about
sense.
kiwis?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, kiwis. Guys, kiwis.
Come on,
Come
tell
on.
us.
Come on. You won't
Give
even
it to
believe
us.
this.
Give
You
it
won't
to
even
us.
believe this. Kiwis help with ADHD and OCD symptoms. They might not cure you overnight, but they're going to help you with those symptoms. And, you know, they have all kinds of physical healing properties, but they're connected to outer space. Like, cut a kiwi in half. You guys know how much I love
Oh.
outer space, and I'm not going to be apologetic about that. But if you cut a kiwi in half and look at it, you'll see the stars, the universe, the solar system in that kiwi. And it's the only fruit that really represents it in that way. And if you put ripening kiwi beside your bed, then you will be infusing your dream time with those properties of a higher perspective, a galactic perspective. And so I don't know about you, but sometimes we buy kiwis and it takes quite a while for them to ripen up. They can be quite hard sometimes when we first buy them here in Canada anyway, because they're not natural to here. So I will often put the kiwis in a little bowl beside my bed, and I dream so much more expansively when I have those ripening, and then you eat them after they've ripened. It's amazing.
That's so cool. I love that.
And they help with gratitude and appreciation. They boost your feelings of appreciation and gratitude. So if you're with someone that's very negative and pessimistic, you can feed them kiwi or just eat kiwi around them, and that energy will help a lot.
I love that we can use fruits with ourselves intentionally, but also intentionally with others to kind of help balance out different situations and emotions. I love that, Tamika. And I love that connection to the other outer space. I've never heard about leaving kiwis beside your bed before. That's amazing. And you feel like they've had an impact on your dream time.
100%.
Gosh.
It always correlates. I don't even know how to describe it. You know how weird dreams can be, but it's just a wider perspective, more connections being made, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so not only are you guys incorporating these fruits just as they are ripened, but then again, how kiwi, like that's a tough one for me in terms of just like incorporation of other ways, minus just cutting it in half and eating it with a spoon. You like the little spoons, don't you?
I was just thinking that. I was thinking, I'm obsessed with mini spoons for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I've been an elf in a previous lifetime, but I am obsessed with mini spoons, and they're so perfect to like scoop out the little kiwi seeds.
And fruit salad. To me, kiwi in a fruit salad is the icing on the cake. Like having kiwi there is like, what? This is green and it's so delicious.
I love that. Okay, so what else is on the fruit agenda?
Another one of the fruits is melons. They're basically little balls of purified water that you're eating when you're eating melons. Not only do they reduce your risk of heart attack and thin the blood and help you on a physical level, they are really helpful for nervousness. So if you find yourself in a nervous state quite a lot of the time, or if you have an important presentation or interview or something like that, if you can eat watermelon on an empty stomach is best, because it can be a little bit hard if you're eating it after you've ate something else. But if you can eat it on an empty stomach, then it is amazing for helping with that nervousness, as well as helping you be more patient. If you're waiting for news or you're waiting for something to happen in your life and it's just not happening, melons will help you be patient and calm about it. And if you're the kind of person also that is really emotionally sensitive and you feel like the slightest thing can upset you, then melons really help with that emotional sensitivity too. So they're special for our mental health and our physical health.
To mention they're delicious, and
Yeah.
watermelon. It's like, is there any better symbol of summer than watermelon on like a warm day? And I learned from you too, Tamika, squeezing lime on watermelon.
Delish.
Love that. I love melons. Any stories on melons?
When we were teaching Heart Rise, we one day we had like a full day of kids coming in for classes. We were in Costa Rica, and we decided it was a good idea to get watermelon and just feed the kids watermelon when they were having breaks and whatever. So it was just kind of like this really fluid thing. And this poor little boy ended up peeing his pants because there's so much like drinking water. So like he just was having watermelon after watermelon after watermelon. And he didn't make it to the bathroom in time, which everybody has experiences of peeing their pants. So it's not a big deal, but it was just reminded me like, wow, like if you're dehydrated, like that is one of the best things in the world is watermelon for hydration.
Amazing. Okay. Any other fruits that we're thinking of?
This isn't a fruit, but the humble potato, it can give you confidence. Eating potatoes helps you be like a humble confidence. That's their gift. And I know that's off topic of fruit, but potatoes are also something that's gotten a really bad rap, but it's all the stuff we put on top of them. So we put a lot of salt and cheese sauce and butter and all the stuff. A potato on its own, once you get used to it on its own, not at the beginning, but it's so grounding, so delicious. You can make your own fresh salsa with some like peppers and tomatoes and garlic and lime juice and onions and put that on the potato. Yum. We are pretty potato obsessed in our house, and we just try to keep all the gunk and stuff off them and eat them in their natural state, steamed as much as you can. Steam them. We also use our air fryer and make a lot of like steam them, cool them, and then cut them up for fries in the air fryer. So there's some great benefits to eating potatoes for anxiety and nervousness and PTSD and stress.
Honorary mention to the potato. Okay.
I got it in there.
My mouth, I had an actual physical reaction when you were talking about the salsa on the potato, like my mouth salivated. I think that this has been just so amazing, you guys, because you have really explored a lot of different fruits and the ways that our culture has interacted with fruits throughout history up to now, how people are experiencing different health conditions, a lot of mental health things going on, and just how these things can really help to shift things for people. And I just love that you guys come at this topic with such a understanding and knowing that everyone has free will and can make the decisions for themselves about whether or not they want to explore different fruits and how they're going to impact themselves. So I want to thank you so much for sharing this work of Anthony Williams, the medical medium, and all of the blessings of the fruits.
Thank you for having us, Candace, and this opportunity to share about something that like feels light and sweet.
And fruitful.
Okay, as a David Tree tradition, we always end our meetings with maybe one word that we want to leave with. And so what word is your word that you're resonating with now?
For me, it's life.
For me, it's sweetness.
I was going to say delicacy.
A
collective yum.
I love it.
Yum. Okay, love you guys so much. Thank you.
Love you, and thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
Yay, you made it to the end of the Love Who You Are podcast. If you liked this episode, please subscribe and leave a review, or text a friend and share the love. These small actions make a big difference in this realm, and we thank you. And we have a present for you, a guide to creating and sustaining a home practice. In this free video, 7 experienced wellness leaders share what it takes to overcome the struggle of creating a home practice in anything: yoga, meditation, journaling, or whatever you'd love to do more of. You don't want to miss the wisdom of these incredible women. You'll find your free gift at davidtree.com. That's DEVATREE.com. We'll see you next time, and know that you are loved.